Today in the Boot Guide, we are looking at the BOGS Foundation Comp Toe Lace-Up Waterproof Boot. Now, first and foremost, we know BOGS for doing one thing exceptionally well and probably better than most people in the business today, making pull-on neoprene rubber-infused waterproof boots that not only are they comfortable, but they're durable and dependable. So when you think about BOGS making a lace-up waterproof boot, there should be no question in your mind. You should understand that you're probably going to get an exceptionally comfortable and waterproof boot because they've already nailed the other kind of boot. They already know what they're doing. Foundation is just that. It's that kind of boot. It's comfortable, it's waterproof, and it's dependable. Let's start with the sole on this one, all right? This is called a BioGrip sole. And whatever this material is, whatever the chemistry they have used in order to make this sole, it's outstanding. This is where the future of soles should be because not only is it sticky when it's really cold and icy out, it's also sticky when it's a wet, smooth surface. You're still getting the same amount of slip resistance with this sole. And because of that, you get a super comfortable sole because when something is really good and pliable when it's cold, when it's warmer, it's going to make it even more pliable. It's going to make it even more grippy. BOGS has nailed the whole idea of building a comfortable outsole. So this harder outsole material is layered on top of this midsole, and this midsole is a super soft EVA midsole. And when you put your foot inside this boot for the first time, if you're wearing something that's a little bit heavier, a little bit more dense, and you put your foot inside here, you might actually not like it because it's going to be so soft and so comfortable. It might actually throw you for a loop. But you spend 10 minutes walking around any shop with these on, and you go put on your old boots, you're probably not going to wear your old boots home. Now, I realize that's a pretty bold claim to make about a boot. It is just that comfortable. They have really thought through what they need to do in order to make a comfortable boot. And when it comes to making a comp toe boot, they've really understood why you need to make comp toes be specific to every single style of boot and in the size scale. So they're using an asymmetric comp toe, that each comp toe is designed for each size of boot. So that means you're not getting the same comp toe you're gonna find in a size 8 and a size 13. They have been engineered for the sizes, and that doesn't happen much. Usually it's a very common comp toe. They're just throwing it from one shoe to the next. And you could see it when you look at smaller sizes and they're using a bigger comp toe, it just doesn't look right. But BOGS doesn't do it that way. They understand the importance of building a comfortable boot, so they're trying to cover all the bases and all the steps. Now, the nice part about the upper is there's not a lot of cuts and pieces that go into the upper, so that's how they can make their boots waterproof. When you look at the outside of the boot, you see no real seam lines in here, and all the flex lines, and everywhere the boot should be, there's not a lot of pieces sewn together. When you move to the inside, you see the inner flex line, where you flex the boot the most, where the boot usually ends up cracking first. Right there you see that flex line. So that is put in there intentionally in order to make this boot last longer. Now the tongue is a gusseted tongue, so that means you're going to be waterproof up until that point in the boot. And that's probably what you want right there. That's enough of a waterproof barrier for a 6-inch boot. That's going to cover you in most any scenario outside of standing in mud or water up to your knee. And if you're doing that, you probably don't want to have this on. You want to move into a taller BOGS, into one of their waterproof tall neoprene boots. But for an everyday work boot, that's the perfect height for a waterproof boot. Now their lining inside is super soft. It's super pliable. They have padded the boot all the way around, down into the vamp, everywhere you need to be. They have taken the time to make sure the boot is comfortable when you put it on and you wear it for 12 to 15 hours. They covered all those steps. Now, what's unique about the foundation that you don't find in a lot of other brands, and BOGS is really pushing that envelope to understanding who their customer is and what they want to feel, is the fact when it comes to their insoles. Now, this is their main insole. It's a basic, heavy-duty, high-density EVA material that Yeah, like anything like this, eventually you're going to get debris inside your boot and you're going to start to break this thing down. But they add this second insole, and what this second insole does is it takes the interior width of the boot and it removes one whole section. So if you've got a really wide foot, if you've got a flipper, by taking out this other insole, you are going to make the foundation feel so much wider and so much more comfortable. And it doesn't just apply to guys with wide feet. Say it's midday, say your feet are really starting to hurt, or say your feet are just tired from a long week. You take out this insole, you increase the space inside your boot, you allow your foot to swell a little bit, and you're going to be comfortable for the rest of the day. Now the upper part of the boot, this collar, the way they cut this collar in and the way they just add all this, you can tell that they took a lot of information from the tactical and hiking world by their use of materials in the softer spots, in the parts that are up in here, because that nice heavy duty nylon ripstop type material that's in there is just a beautiful touch to the boot because it's super strong. This type of material has got a lot of strength. This actually has a lot more strength than leather does when it's being wet repeatedly, when it's always soaked. So you're going to get more use out of a boot that has materials that are geared towards the environment of which they're intended to. Now, when you tie this thing up and you get it all the way wrapped around your ankle, when you come up into these top two speed laces, this whole part of the boot just kind of vanishes. That soft cushion collar, when it's all tied together, is really comfortable, and it really does show a lot of intent in the design. Now, the one drawback on this whole boot, and it's a shame that this is the drawback on it, but in order to make something like this that's waterproof, you have to use certain types of materials in order to get this whole package done, is the hardware. The hardware is a high impact, high freeze proof hardware. It's plastic. It's ballistic plastic. It's not cheap water bottle plastic. It's a very high impact plastic, but it's plastic at that. Now, this type of plastic has come a really long way just in the last 3 years alone, and BOGS is using the highest quality they possibly can in order to put it into this boot, but it's still plastic. So it might be a drawback. All I can say is that they tie up really nice, it moves through the eyelids really nice, and it's going to take a direct hit, or you're going to have to start prying at that thing in order to break those eyelids off. Now, the other thing that BOGS is known for, they're pretty synonymous for, is that their boots are heavier than the competition out there. And the reason why BOGS are usually heavier is because they're trying to build the best possible boot they can. Now, the foundation is not really that heavy when you think about it. It's got a comp toe, it's got all those layers of the sole. This pair of boots weighing in at 3 pounds. So that's the BOGS asymmetrical comp toe waterproof lace-up 6-inch boot. Hey, if you're currently wearing anything from BOGS, please comment below. If you're fortunate enough to be wearing a pair of these lace-up foundations also, comment below. Let guys know what you think about the comfort of the boot and the space underneath that comp toe, that asymmetrical comp toe. Please comment below. Let guys know exactly just how much space there is, and if you got super wide feet, if this whole idea is really working out for you. Hey, if you want to see some detailed photos of this pair of BOGS foundations that I took over the course of the last week, swing by to bootguy.com. I will have a blog posting titled BOGS Foundations, and I'll have all kinds of photos and all kinds of information about this boot. Please don't forget to hit my subscribe button below. It really helps out. And if you're on Instagram or Twitter, you can always follow me there. All week long, I find interesting, beautiful boots. I take some photos of them. We have conversations about them, and it's a beautiful thing. Hey, if you're about to pick up a pair of these foundations and you got a super wide foot and you got a few questions, feel free to email me any of those questions. Let's talk through the whole idea on how BOGS is building this boot and whether or not removing that insole is going to be a good thing for you. All right, until the next time, I'm the Boot Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.